Hello, my name is Parrish Gibbons. I want to thank Hallwalls for creating this opportunity for artists to share their work during this members exhibition. This is my piece entitled A Glorious View. It is a collage piece. When I'm creating in collage, I'm usually working with about 2 or 3 different series at a time. This is what I would consider snapshots of my Planet P series. Planet P for me is another pseudonym that I go under as a creator, but for me it's also a physical realm in which I live in my dreams. I am a lucid dreamer. I every night go into this world that I can map out the next day visually. A lot of it consists of a cityscape that butts up to either a lake or an empty vast space, which I consider a bit of a outer space realm. And a lot of the collages that I make are snapshots of those cityscapes or of that world. This piece in particular, I will talk a little bit about process and source material to help you gather yourself around it. For source material, I exclusively really work with National Geographics between the 1920s to the 1960s, and then Life magazines from about the 40s to the 60s, as well as American Look magazine. I'll get some gardening books as well, which I like the floral aspects that are not seen in this piece but are found in a lot of my other ones. I'll use flowers as little spaceships. I think that's kind of how people get around. But you know, when you get back into the 70s and stuff, magazines get a little glossy, and I don't want to work with that as a collage artist. The matte, harder finish is my preference, and so those are my source materials. I bring that up because I'm not a collage artist that utilizes a lot of material. I have about 7 to 10 magazines that I work with in a time. As a creator, that allows me to have a memory bank of almost every page or ad or article in all of those magazines, and that allows me as a dreamer to kind of infiltrate the two worlds a bit. So for instance, when it comes to this piece, A Glorious View, I had a lot of these source materials already in my mind. When I found this gentleman, which is actually a sailor that is being dumped into the water in the 1940s by his peers because he got a promotion, I knew exactly where I wanted him by just the familiarity of the source material that I work from. I knew I wanted him kind of falling and like many of us perhaps dream, when you're falling asleep you have that jump, that fall. But in a lot of my dreams, I'm flying around consciously and moving around. And so when I first saw him in one of my magazines, I liked to play around with him a bit. I make a lot of temporary collages, or non-existent collages, I'll call them sometimes, in which I create temporary collages, photograph them, digitize them, make fun little videos with them. I have him jumping into a plethora of things, from women's undies to bowls of soup. And but when I found this skyscraper, it's called the Bird Cage in Chicago. I believe it still exists because they were the inventor of the skyscraper, Chicago, post-fire. They were building a lot. And this structure had a beautiful spread in National Geographics of a lot of vertical angles of the building they were highlighting. And when I saw that, I already had him in my memory bank, and I knew I wanted him falling in front of it. To make it a little less dreary, I did add a mattress at the base. Me, myself, I'm a bit of a depressive. I struggle with anxiety and depression. I made this piece when I was at a low point, but you know, I'm grateful for everything that I have, and that's symbolic in the mattress, which was in itself a wonderful advertisement in National Geographic from the 1940s. It was just a black advertisement with the mattress, and it said, "The best sleeping pill you've ever had." And in itself, I thought it was a perfect artwork, but of course I cut it up and made it into something else. I think that's a bit about the piece. I don't know if anybody has questions or if I'm kind of forgetting anything. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask you please about the decision to mat it in a bright gold frame without a mat?
Yeah, you know, a lot of it is a matter of circumstance of what I have. I do have a mat cutter, I have lots of mat and all that source, but you know, when it came to this, I like the simplicity of work. You know, when you see my works or other collages, it's usually a couple of pieces. You know, I think it speaks to me as a lover of art when it comes to music or fine art or anything. I like the simplicity of things. I think sometimes for me, more starts to take away. But for me, I thought that the frame just encapsulated it a bit. I also think our minds are, you know, it kind of relates to me as just kind of like the golden mind, or, you know, the concept is just kind of held within this glowing realm of energy. And I do like to utilize gold frames often. They just kind of speak to me. And then one thing I did not mention previously is I'll sneak some text into my collage work. So the title is there, A Glorious View. And I only pull text from one book, and it's called 3 Cups of Tea. And I just got hooked on it. And like I said, with the other, you know, my other source materials, I know where in the book I can find energy or vibes or what they're talking about, and I like to go there and find it and pull it. Of course, other things pop up at me when I'm reading or writing, and I'll cut those out. I have a whole bag of just weird sentences that I like to play around with. A lot of those, as I mentioned before, go into my temporary collages or those non-existent collages, and I do a bit of digital work with that as well.
So you work at more than one at a time then? Usually?
Yeah, oh yeah. I would say, yeah, a bit of my process. I mean, some of my process is even flipping through my books before I fall asleep at night, thinking that they'll kind of impact and merge the worlds a little bit. I'll have nights where I just cut. I have a lot of, you know, pre-cut things, as a lot of collage artists do. But I really like to keep them intact with the original artist. You know, I recognize that the advertisers and the photographers are artists in their own right, and they submitted and got their own final artwork in print, and I respect that, and I tend to keep things intact until I know where I want it. And you know, for this gentleman, it seems a little depressive. I go back to it, but I'll talk about the source material one more time. Is that he was a sailor in the 1940s that received a promotion, and I guess that was tradition afterwards that they would throw them into the water, and they no longer do that because of the pollution around the boats and the bases and stuff like that. So go figure. I don't know if they liked that anyways, but that guy was having a good time that day. And the car structure, it's actually a very amazing building. It's called the Birdcage, and it's in Chicago, and it's open face at the base, and then it's a closed structure at the top. But they all kind of came together. You know, my process was, what I'm getting at is I saw all of these at different times, and when I feel it click, it's usually the last piece or the last element that I would see, and that's when I really bring the glue out and put it together. And I like to keep things simple too, because I like to walk away from the things I create. You know, I don't like to necessarily open it back up and come back to it, right? You know, I want to create something and move on from it, and then create anew. As I was implying before, as a listener and lover of art, I really respect the simplicity of things, and I think sometimes simple is strong when you're getting a point across, but I think the point is always in the viewer's perception and not necessarily the creator's. And so that was my intention with creating this, and so I hope people enjoy whatever they take from it too.
As a lucid dreamer, so it comes out in your work, but do you have other forms of documentation? Just, it seems like you intimately care about like the dreams you have.
Yeah, I write about my dreams when I wake up. I think it's an important thing to do because they leave even me. You know, I'm not, as a lucid dreamer, I'm not a capsule of all of my dreams. I think I do my due diligence of remembering them better because I'm active about recording them and creating them in tangible ways. You know, my dad is a lucid dreamer. My cousins who are twins could talk to each other in their dreams. You know, I think it's something that's passed down, and when you are growing up and you're conscious of it, it's a strength that you can build over time. And I've been grateful to be able to embrace that and incorporate that into my life and into my output of work. Like I said, with my lucid dreams, you know, it's not necessarily I wake up and I'm like, oh, I'm dreaming, I'm just going to live it up. It really is just another life, like when I wake up here or I wake up there, and I live my lives within. And a lot of them are, I guess, a little stressful, or, you know, I'm so often running around or trying to get from thing to thing, and I think that's an impact of my current world here. But those can change, especially when I'm conscious about being creative at night, like I said before, that you can kind of relax your way into the other realms of it. But I'll end by saying, you know, I'm really only showing work recently. I've always been a creative. I went to school for business and design and found myself working in the nonprofit world. I'm grateful to have started my career across the street at Starlight Studio and Art Gallery, and 10 years later I'm happy to continue to work with them closely, and I've spent my career trying to lift up the work and voices of other artists, and it really wasn't until COVID that I thought I deserved that too. So I'm happy to be on site here and to share my work and for you to hear it.
Thank you.